In the kingdom of the Sakyas, a prince is born destined for greatness, yet his father, King Suddhodana, harbors a terrible fear. A sage has prophesied that young Siddhartha will renounce the world to seek enlightenment. Determined to prevent this fate, the king builds towering walls around his son, shutting out all suffering and sorrow. For 29 years, Siddhartha lives in splendid isolation, surrounded by beauty, music, and courtly pleasures. His father provides every comfort: dancing girls, fine foods, gardens of every season. The prince excels in all arts and martial disciplines, knowing nothing of the world beyond the palace walls. One fateful day, Siddhartha requests to leave the palace. King Suddhodana grants permission, commanding servants to clear the streets of all suffering. Yet the Devas, divine beings, intervene, placing before the prince the four sights: an elderly person bent with age, a diseased man, a corpse, and finally, a wandering ascetic seeking truth. Shaken to his core by these revelations, Siddhartha recognizes that all beings face aging, sickness, and death. That very night, he embraces his sleeping wife Yashodhara and newborn son Rahula one final time, then abandons the palace. With his faithful charioteer Channa, he rides toward the forests, shedding his silken garments for the robes of a wandering seeker. For 6 years, Siddhartha wanders the forests of northeastern India as an ascetic, seeking the path to liberation through extreme self-denial. He joins bands of wandering holy men, practices radical fasting, holds his breath until consciousness nearly fades, and torments his body in pursuit of enlightenment. 5 ascetics join Siddhartha in his extreme practices, respecting his fierce dedication to renunciation. Together they endure hunger, heat, and hardship, believing that bodily mortification holds the key to transcending suffering and achieving liberation. One day, remembering a moment of peace as a child beneath a tree, Siddhartha realizes a profound truth: extreme mortification causes only suffering and dulls the mind. Enlightenment requires neither indulgence nor self-torture, but a balanced path between extremes. The 5 ascetics, seeing Siddhartha eating and believing he has abandoned the path, abandon him in disgust. Alone now, he accepts food from villagers and bathes in the river Naranjara, bathing his weary body and preparing for his final quest for awakening. A compassionate village maiden named Sujata offers Siddhartha a bowl of rice milk, a modest meal of genuine kindness. Nourished and grateful, he accepts the gift humbly. This act of simple generosity becomes sacred, marking his return to the middle way and his readiness for enlightenment. Strengthened by the maiden's gift, Siddhartha journeys toward a sacred peepal tree near the village of Bodh Gaya. He vows not to rise until he has penetrated the ultimate truth of existence, until he has achieved awakening. This tree, henceforth called the Bodhi tree, will become the most sacred site in Buddhism. Siddhartha sits in meditation beneath the Bodhi tree. Throughout the night, Mara, the embodiment of ignorance, delusion, and craving, assails him with visions, armies of demons, seductive celestial beings, doubts about his worthiness. Yet the seeker remains unmoved, rooted in determination like the tree itself. As the night deepens, Siddhartha's mind grows clearer. In the first watch, he perceives all his past lives, countless incarnations stretching back through time. In the second watch, he develops the divine eye, witnessing how all beings are reborn according to their karma. Yet still, ultimate truth eludes him. In the third watch of the night, a revelation blooms. All suffering arises from a chain of dependent origination. Ignorance gives birth to mental formations give birth to consciousness to name and form, all the way to suffering itself. Everything is interconnected. Nothing exists independently. In the final watch before dawn, Siddhartha perceives the cessation of suffering, the possibility of liberation. If dependent origination can arise, it can cease. Where there is no ignorance, no craving, no attachment, there is no suffering. Nirvana, the unconditioned, the deathless, reveals itself as accessible to all beings. As the morning star rises, Siddhartha's mind suddenly becomes completely clear. In a flash of supreme insight, he awakens to the Four Noble Truths: that suffering exists, that suffering has a cause, that suffering can end, and that there is a path to its cessation. He is Buddha, the awakened one. Ignorance dissolves like darkness before the sun. Siddhartha seated himself upon the earth in diamond meditation posture, his face turned toward the western sky. With unshakable resolve, he spoke his sacred vow: I shall not rise from this seat until I have penetrated the nature of suffering and awakened to supreme enlightenment. The earth itself trembled in witness to his determination. As darkness fell, Siddhartha turned his mind inward with perfect concentration. In the first watch of the night, his consciousness opened to recall countless previous lives, hundreds of births, deaths, and rebirths stretching back through vast ages of the cosmos. Each life revealed the karma of his actions spanning eternities. In the second watch, Siddhartha's vision expanded further. He perceived the celestial eye of karma, seeing how all beings rise and fall according to their deeds, how virtuous actions lead to fortunate rebirths and harmful actions to suffering realms. The great wheel of cause and effect became luminously clear. In the deepest part of night, Siddhartha's meditative insight turned to the nature of dukkha, suffering and unsatisfactoriness. He perceived how all conditioned things are impermanent, how clinging to what cannot last creates anguish, and how the sense of a permanent self is itself a profound delusion. But as dawn approached and Siddhartha drew near to breakthrough, the demon Mara unleashed his armies to tempt and terrify. Roaring hordes attacked, some wielding weapons, others seducing with beautiful forms, still others whispering doubts and despair. Yet the Buddha remained unmoved, protected by his unwavering mindfulness. Mara approached directly and challenged Siddhartha, "By what witness do you claim the right to awakening? Who can verify your realization?" The Buddha calmly touched the earth with his right hand and spoke, "The earth itself is my witness." At that touch, the ground trembled in affirmation. Recognizing his defeat, Mara and his armies dissolved like shadows before the rising sun. The last stars faded from the sky as the first rays of dawn illuminated the earth. The night of struggle had ended, and a profound silence settled over the forest beneath the Bodhi tree. As the morning star rose in the eastern sky, Siddhartha's meditation deepened into perfect clarity. In a single profound moment, all obscurations dissolved. He awakened to the Four Noble Truths, the existence of suffering, its cause, its cessation, and the path leading to its end. The Buddha had awakened. In his enlightenment, the Buddha perceived the profound law of dependent origination, how all phenomena arise interdependently, how ignorance leads to conditioning, conditioning to consciousness, consciousness to form, and through this chain, all suffering comes into being. Understanding this was the key to liberation. After his awakening, the Buddha remained seated, marveling at the depth of Dharma he had realized. For 7 days, he dwelt in profound peace, his consciousness bathed in the light of liberation. Celestial beings gathered from the heavens to witness the blessed event, and the earth was filled with fragrance. On the 7th day, the Buddha rose and began to walk slowly beneath the Bodhi tree, pacing back and forth in meditation. Each step was a manifestation of his liberation, his peace touching the very earth. Flowers bloomed wherever his feet touched the ground, and the fragrance of enlightenment spread across the land. After his awakening, the Buddha hesitated to teach the Dharma. The truth he had realized was profound and subtle. How could beings mired in ignorance and desire understand such depths? Yet compassion arose in his heart, and he surveyed the world with the eyes of awakened wisdom. Perceiving the Buddha's compassionate hesitation, the great god Brahma descended from the highest heavens. He prostrated before the awakened one and made a heartfelt request, "Please, Lord, teach the Dharma. There are beings with little dust in their eyes who will understand and be liberated by your words." Moved by Brahma's plea and his own compassion for all beings, the Buddha accepted the responsibility to teach. He surveyed the world and saw that indeed, many beings possessed the capacity to understand and awaken to liberation. The decision was made, he would share the gift of Dharma with all who had ears to hear. The Buddha then set forth from the Bodhi tree, beginning his sacred journey to share the Dharma. As he walked toward Varanasi, the path before him was illuminated by his presence. He carried within him the complete understanding of suffering and liberation, ready to light the way for all sentient beings who sought freedom. As midnight approaches, Siddhartha settles into meditation beneath the Bodhi tree, his resolve unshakable. He vows not to rise until he has penetrated the deepest mysteries of existence itself. The night deepens around him, vast and infinite, mirroring the vast mind he seeks to awaken. In the first watch of night, divine sight opens within Siddhartha's mind. He perceives all beings throughout the cosmos, their births and deaths, their rise and fall according to their actions. He sees the law of karma written in every living thing, the consequence inherent in every deed. In the second watch, the Buddha-to-be turns his attention inward with crystalline clarity. He traces suffering back to its root, craving and ignorance. He sees how desire binds all beings in endless cycles of wanting, rejecting, and confusion about the true nature of self. In the third watch, a profound peace descends as Siddhartha perceives the end of suffering itself. He sees that where craving ceases, there is stillness. Where ignorance dissolves, there is wisdom. He glimpses nirvana, not as annihilation, but as the unconditioned peace beyond all becoming. As the fourth watch dawns, the final veil lifts. Siddhartha comprehends the Four Noble Truths in their complete and perfect form. He understands suffering, its origin, its cessation, and the path that leads to freedom. In this moment, Siddhartha Gautama becomes the Buddha, the awakened one. For 7 days, the Buddha remains beneath the Bodhi tree in deep contemplation, savoring the fruit of his awakening. His mind rests in the peace he has won, and the world around him seems transformed by his presence. All of nature itself appears to celebrate his achievement. Yet a profound question arises in the Buddha's mind: should he teach this Dharma to others? The truth he has awakened to is subtle, difficult, and accessible only to those with pure hearts. Many might not understand. Would the effort be worthwhile? In response to this doubt, Brahma Sahampati himself, the highest god in the Brahmanical cosmos, appears before the Buddha. With profound reverence, Brahma bows and implores the Buddha to teach. He understands that even a few beings will benefit from the Dharma, and that is enough. Moved by compassion for all beings, the Buddha accepts his role as teacher. He surveys the world with his awakened vision and sees that though many are blinded by ignorance, there are those whose eyes are only slightly covered by dust. These ones can awaken if shown the way. The Buddha rises from beneath the Bodhi tree and journeys to the Sarnath deer park where 5 ascetics await, his former companions who had abandoned him. Though they initially doubt, the Buddha teaches them the Four Noble Truths, and each awakens to the Dharma. The Sangha, the community of awakened beings, is born. For 45 years, the Buddha walks across northern India, teaching all who will listen, monks and nuns, kings and peasants, merchants and outcasts. He adapts his teaching to each person's capacity to understand. Wherever he goes, communities of practitioners form, preserving and practicing the Dharma. The Buddha's teaching emphasizes compassion without limit. He teaches that the Dharma is not the exclusive property of monks, but available to all beings who sincerely seek it. Even those considered lowest in society, those suffering from disease, outcasts, and criminals, receive his patient guidance and kindness. In his 80th year, the Buddha knows his parinirvana approaches. He gathers his monks at Kushinara and delivers his final teachings. He reminds them that all conditioned things are impermanent, that they must work diligently for their own liberation, and that the Dharma itself, not his person, will be their eternal guide after he departs. As the full moon rises, the Buddha enters into final nirvana. His consciousness dissolves into the unconditioned, leaving behind only his teaching and the community he established. Though his physical form has departed, the Dharma remains eternal, accessible to all who seek awakening with sincere hearts. 2,500 years have passed, yet the Buddha's Dharma continues to illuminate countless hearts. The path he discovered, through his own courage, dedication, and awakening, remains open to all. In every age and every tradition, seekers follow his footsteps toward liberation, proving that the light of enlightenment is never truly extinguished.